Hello, can anybody hear me? Either you can respond on Telegram or the YouTube chat. Okay, let's recap the ebook first lah. I'll straight go into the dominant candle breakout setup. So if you look at the candle, this is when the market is uptrend, normally they will do a bearish candle, to have a valid dominant setup, the bearish candle must have at least two candle inside the the dominant candle. When it break out, only considered a dominant setup. Yeah, is that clear? Because most of the time, the Telegram always asks, hey, is this a valid setup? Is this a valid dominant setup or not? A valid dominant setup, I repeat, if let's say you are looking for a buy, meaning to say that the daily direction is up, and you have one dominant candle which is a bearish candle, inside must have at least two candle. When the bullish candle break up the dominant candle, that is considered a valid setup. If you look at the sell signal as well, the sell signal must have a bullish candle. When they break down the bullish candle, then is considered a valid dominant setup. Are we clear on this particular part first? Are we clear on this? You guys can respond so I can carry on. Okay, let's look for some dominant setup. Okay, I think these few days there's many on the EU dominant setup. If you look at the the directions of the daily is up, meaning to say that we are going to buy. But I'm not going to go into details how to determine direction of the daily chart. I'll just focus on the dominant setup. So we can zoom into 4 hours candle. So this is, can this be a dominant setup? This particular candle, this cannot be a dominant setup because it's only have one candle. The second candle already break up, so it's not a valid dominant setup. The valid dominant setup, you must at least have two candle within the bearish candle. So which are the one that has this criteria? First of all, okay, is this a valid one? This can be a valid dominant setup. So when you have a dominant setup, you need to wait. It's good to pending at this area. This is the zone that you should pending. Okay, these are the zone that you should pending. Imagine if the price go up and retrace here. So this will give you 1 to 2 risk reward. Yeah? If you're pending here at 78.6, you only have 1 to 1 risk reward. You have to come to here, only you have 1 to 2 risk reward. So this is considered a dominant setup, a valid one. Yeah. Let's zoom in. The dominant setup can be used on 4 hours, 1 hours, but of course the higher the time frame, the more accurate it will be. If you look at 1 hour, there's another dominant setup here. Yeah. Look at this setup. So it did retrace. This is the buying zone. These are the zone that you can pending. So it already reached its TP1. Okay. Normally the TP2 will set it here, 26.1.8. Yeah. So this is another dominant setup for today. Yeah. So let's look for other pair as well. Today I think we have EJ. These are the marking. I think somebody marked on the Telegram. I think this morning. I think it's on the private group. This is the dominant setup on 1 hours. Yeah. Looking at it, this candle already break out. So we pull the Fibo. As long as where to put our SL, the stop loss should be put slightly below this low. Yeah. So this definitely will give you, because sometimes you must understand that if you put too close to the stop loss too close, the spread might hit your stop loss. So you look at it, this is a very good setup. 50 pull back until 50%. You have nice, I think 1 to 4. 1 to 4. The winning ratio is 1 to 4. Yeah. So if you look at EJ, this is another waiting for dominant setup. You must wait for the candle to close first. If the candle don't close, you are not sure whether it's a valid dominant setup. Now currently the market is moving. So this is because the EJ we are looking for up direction. So this one, let's wait for the candle to close. If the candle close at this is breakout above the bearish candle or the dominant candle, then you can pull the Fibo, to determine your entry. So is that clear? Dominant setup can use on daily, can use on 1 hour, 4 hours. I think now look at this UJ. There is a dominant setup on 4 hours and 1 hours as well. If you look at 4 hours, this is a dominant setup. This is a dominant setup. But of course, dominant setup is more powerful if you are talking about near the support resistance zone. Even the 1 hours, you have a dominant setup here. Look at this, there's another dominant setup. This is a dominant setup. So before I continue, another thing, the best of the dominant setup is to trade according to daily direction or trade with the trend. That means daily is up, you only look for buy dominant setup. If the daily direction is sell, you gotta look for sell dominant setup unless you are very sure that it's at the major support level or resistance level. Then you can apply your dominant setup without following the daily direction. Now, And any questions on the dominant setup first before I continue? You can type on the YouTube, yeah, or you can type on the Telegram. Okay, let me use the forex tester to actually backtest some of the dominant setup. Okay, as I mentioned before, forex tester is the best way for you to test your strategies, without causing you to lose money. Okay, now, okay, first of all, let's backtest without looking at daily directions. Just purely on 4 hours EU dominant setup to see how many wins or lose that they have. Daily, someone asked what kind of timeline determine the long trend. Normally, I will use daily direction to determine the directions of the market. Okay, let's see, is this a dominant setup? So this is a low, this is a high of the candle. Yeah. Always, the best way is always wait for pullback or retracement before you go in. Okay, let's see on the YouTube. I'll do some of the setup live here. Okay, if you look at this, okay, let's look for some dominant setup. Always must have two bar within. Okay, this can be a dominant setup, you see. Okay, the best is according to daily trend, but on these examples, we just purely based on dominant setup first, just to let you guys understand. So once you have dominant setup, this candle actually break up. So you use your FIBO, pull, then you can either you can place buy limit on the few FIBO level. Yeah. So normally TP1, you see, sometimes that's the reason why normally SL you don't put so close, because if you look at it, it will come back again. So the TP1 will hit, TP2 hit, yeah. You can close and start all over again. Yeah. Look for dominant again. Is this a dominant setup? Yeah. Do remember that I don't look for daily directions. This is just examples on how you look for dominant setup. You can pending. TP1 hit. You can take profit at TP1 if you want, but sometimes they will pull back. Yeah. So almost hit your TP2. Yeah, you hit. Close. Okay. Let's recap again. Okay, let's recap again. This candle come out. We don't know whether this is a dominant setup. We can always mark. Okay, let's review. Okay, one candle, two candle inside the dominant setup. If it break down, it's considered a valid. If this one we are not sure whether it's a dominant setup, breakdown, confirm. Use FIBO, retracement, pull, entry. You can take profit at TP1. Yeah. So let's go and look for more to see how accurate is that. This is not, you see sometimes a lot of people might ask me, this is slightly breakout, so I will not consider it. Yeah. This is, if you want to look for sell, this one already break out, that's why we cannot consider it's a valid one. Okay. Any question, just ask on the Telegram. Okay. Okay, this one. Okay, when you break down, it is not considered anymore. Yeah. You must always remember, for bearish dominant candle, you are waiting for buy. Yeah. So this is not a valid one. Then there's no dominant setup. There's don't have. Okay. This one, there is a setup. See? Bullish, dominant candle, two candle inside the dominant candle, breakdown. So this is the, you can pull FIBO, you can pending if you pending at 50, you will get 1 to 2. If you're pending at 78, you got 1 to 1 risk reward. Like this one, completely, it hit the TP1, then only it shoot up. Yeah. So this is example. Okay, let's close all. Let's look for more. It can be a dominant setup, but it can be not very solid lah. Okay, like this one, a lot of people have confused. Is this a dominant setup? This is not a dominant setup because this is a bullish candle and it's a bullish candle that break out. So it's not considered a dominant setup. This is considered a dominant setup. See, this one, this is a dominant setup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candle inside a bullish dominant candle. We can pull, we can pending again, pending again, pending, TP1 hit, TP1 hit. Okay, if you want to take profit, you can take profit at TP1. Most of the time, it definitely hit TP1. But because as you look at the daily, this is an uptrend, they are changing trend, that's why it's dangerous. So most of the time, why we want to combine with the daily direction, that is very important. See this one, it almost hit TP2 before it reverse. Yeah. So so you must combine with daily direction to give you a better or solid winning ratio lah. I would say solid winning ratio. If you look at here, there's another dominant setup as well, which is here. Yeah. So this is your dominant. You can pending any place. The same rules apply. Okay, this one will SL already. Yeah, your SL should put here. Yeah. So you look at just now, we just don't base on daily direction. Almost, I think this is the first one that SL, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, any more dominant setup? Okay, there's no. Is this a dominant setup? Okay, most of the time, if break up is a dominant setup, but its breakdown is not considered a dominant setup. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. This is not a dominant setup because only one candle inside. Yeah. Okay, this is also not a dominant setup. This is a dominant setup. See, if you look back on the daily direction, this is the uptrend. So most of the time, that's why most of the time I think I did mention a lot of time on the Telegram. Dominant setup, you have to look at the daily direction. The best is combined with daily direction. Yeah. Okay, before I continue, I think is that clear that you guys understand about dominant setup first? Yeah, you can ask any question on Telegram. Okay. How to setting entry like myself? I think we have give all the levels. If you look at the default one, actually you don't have to set anything because the default one already give you. See, dominant setup. This is 50, 61.8, 78.6. These are all the default levels for the Fibonacci. You know, you just use the default Fibonacci on MT4, you will get all these level already. You know, all these are already preset. You know, all these levels are preset. You just need to determine how to determine which is the dominant setup. That's it. You look at the EU, you know, the candle break here, the lowest point, the highest point at the candle break. Yeah. So this, see, this is a candle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 candles are within this particular candle. This candle breakout, that means this candle determine the top of the 100% of Fibo level, and you pull down, this is the lowest. that's the reason why I say sometimes you gotta put slightly lower on the stop loss. Yeah. So if you look at it, if you're pending at 50, it definitely hit. So now whether you're going to hit on 261.8, yeah, I think it will hit lah. Quite confident that it will hit. But if the candle already reached 161.8, either you close, or if you are not going, if you are not into the setup, I mean if you are not buy at this particular pair, please don't do so because it's too late to buy already. There's plenty other pair you can actually focus on. You know? So if you look at that, if you look at the EU, look how when they touch the 161.8, they will retrace back, they will come back, they will come back again. So sometimes you can consider this as a first taking profit point and look for another setup again. You know, so this is very clear or simple way for how you can actually trade dominant candle. So always remember that wait for the candle to close first before you actually do anything. Like this one, if you look at the EJ, we are not sure whether it's going to close. Yeah, another 148 minutes is about a few hours from now. So to determine whether it will close or not. Yeah, so sometimes the candle will pull back, then only when the candle confirm break, only you use your FIBO to set your entry. Okay, uh, am I clear on that part? I hope I'm clear on that part. So sometimes for the daily direction, you can actually look for our website. For the daily direction, we already actually most of the time we analyze what is the daily directions. So I'm not going to cover more on how you determine the daily direction. Okay. If you need the daily directions, we do provide coaching for how do you determine daily directions. Yeah. So I just go through some of, that's why sometimes a lot of people did ask me, why we can't coach your daily directions by just giving information, because it is not as straightforward as the dominant setup. If you look at these are the pay content, so most of the time I request the student actually do some homework, because without the homework you can't determine where is the swing point. These are all the swing point that you must determine in order for you to understand the daily direction. Because without the swing point, you can't know what is your entry type. We have different entry. So this is dominant set is one of them. We have different type of entry. How do you determine the directions of the market? Where is the trading zone? So dominant setup is just a setup to combine whatever that you know. Market movement. When do you know when is the market is going to turn? If you look at all our content, you will notice that we don't use support and resistance. We don't use trend line, because with detailed market movement, you definitely know where to look for market direction. So these are some of the different, because a lot of time a lot of people ask me, hey, can you share more on daily direction? It's not as simple as that. If you look at some of the students, they have to do a lot of homework before I can really explain to them where is the mistake. So I require everybody to do homework. So that's how you need to determine. Okay, somebody asked that can there be multiple dominant setup, and can you enter them all when they break? If you have a few dominant setup, you got to filter. I think the very good examples is on, I think, okay, there's a few dominant setup is here. There's one here, one here. So if you look at that, if you enter the first one, your stop loss is here. If you enter another time, the stop loss you have to put exactly the same place. So you are doubling your risk already. If you look at I think today's there's another pair. This is a dominant setup. Inside here also got dominant setup. Inside there's a dominant setup. So but you must always remember the first one, you should put the stop loss at the first dominant setup that you encounter, because if the second one, if you add in more trade, that means you are trading the same pair additional risk. So why should you do so? You see, better don't focus on your money management. So any okay, I think somebody is typing some questions. Dominant setup is best to use on major pair lah. I think for beginners, just try on major pair first. Actually, personally, I will just base on my daily analysis for directions. H4 normally is for my entry, or 1 hour can be entry as well. Use whatever that you are comfortable. If you are have your own way of determine the daily direction, by all means combine this dominant break. Is there any further questions? Yeah, actually there's for me there's no best and worst time to actually look for setup. Um, as long as the setup is valid, you can actually pending. You will never know when is the best, but of course, if can, we combine with a daily time frame to look for where is a swing point. Most of the time, the dominant setup happen at the swing point of the daily chart. That is the best place for you to look for dominant setup. Okay, I think I just, if anybody need on coaching on daily direction, you can actually consider our one-time coaching course. Currently is 150 USD, but in this 24 hours, I think I will just do at 120 USD. After 24 hours, we'll put back at 150 USD. I think the existing student know that the time commitment that we put in, I think is worth more than that lah. If you guys are serious, we just want people that are serious lah, that are passionate about trading, are really put in effort. Don't subscribe the coaching if you think that you can't commit to the homework. Because on every chapters we demand actually students to actually put in their homework lah. Actually, as I say, if you use trend line, it's up to you. You can combine any methods that you want, indicators. But as you know, I don't use indicators. If you look at my chart, it's a clean chart. I just use simple swing point. I just use candlestick pattern. That's it. I don't even mark the support and resistance. If you look at just now the forex tester, without the trend line, without the trend line, support and resistance indicators, we have quite a numbers of wins, so if you can determine where to look for the place for dominant setup, I think you're okay already. So dominant setup actually in our course is a type 2. So we have actually 4 type of setup. This is the easiest to determine, that's why we just show it to you all. So anything else? If not, then we shall end here. I hope that you guys profit on your dominant setup. This video we will upload into the YouTube. I will give the channel. You can actually refresh it. Anything you don't know, you just ask on the Telegram. Okay? Thanks, guys.